Hi, I'm Rob with We Keep You Cycling, and today my long-term review of the Campagnolo Super Record Tie EPS group set. Campagnolo might have the richest and most extensive history in cycling. Started in 1933, committed to developing performance, technologically innovative, and high-quality products. They have launched their Super Record Tie EPS group set at the pinnacle of components available in the marketplace. And I think they hold true to their company's philosophy. This is my group set, and I've been riding it. And I started saving for it 5 years ago when I got wind that Campy had been working on an electronic group set and was getting ready to bring it to market. EPS stands for Ergo Power Shift, and 5 brand new unique components are intended to work together seamlessly through an electronic communication between the components. It consists of the lever, the control unit, the battery, and the front and rear derailleur. If you're already familiar with the Campy drivetrain, you'll be immediately at home with the new shifter. Designed specifically to work with the electronic group set, it retains all of the hallmark characteristics we've grown to love of the mechanical. It has a great braking feel with improved biometrics for greater leverage. It combines the shifting, as we've all loved, 2 separate buttons, and they've improved the thumb shifter to make it easier to shift well in the drops and opened up a variety of new positions previously not available. And while it's designed for the electronic group set, it has a very mechanical or positive communication with each shift and is not like pressing a keyboard. Moving away from the shifters, we see the Campy interface. This connects the shifters with the power unit and ensures that the signals make their way all the way to the battery, out to the derailleurs. It has a built-in LED, which has a variety of different communications. Most significantly, it will beep and flash at you when you're down to 6% battery. Moving down from the interface, we have the power unit or battery. Most significantly, this is where you charge the unit and where there's the on-off switch. Removing the magnet turns the system on, allowing it to accept shift inputs, but now the battery is being used. Placing it back, the system turns off. When you're charging, you want to make sure that this is in there and the unit is off. While the ergo lever improvements are noticeable, I think the most significant improvement in shifting in group components as an entire category can be summarized in the improvements found in the EPS front derailleur. It does what I believe no other front derailleur is capable of doing. It outshifts, providing fast, clean, crisp shifts in both up and down shifts, and provides additional trim. While shifting from the small ring to the big ring, it overshifts ever so slightly to make a fast, clean shift. Once on the big ring, it resets slightly to ensure there's no chain rub. While going from the big ring down to the little ring, it undershifts just slightly to reduce the chances that you'd ever drop your chain. Once properly shifted, it slips the extra few millimeters required to ensure that you never rub your chain against the front derailleur. And despite my best efforts, I was unable to get a bad shift or to have a dropped chain in any type of situation. Low cadence, high cadence, big power efforts, crossing chains. There's nothing I can do to make this front derailleur miss shift. And for me, that is probably the most significant improvement in front derailleur shifting I've ever experienced. While the front derailleur focuses on powerful shifts under any situation, the rear derailleur takes cues from the front and provides fast, clean, crisp shifting under any load with the added benefit of being able to run through the entire cassette by holding either the shift button down and move seamlessly up and down that cassette almost as fast as you'd ever want it to do. It then also has the ability to make single shifts very precisely. Need to make multiple shifts quickly, quick flick, several, 2, 3, 4 shifts on the shifter, and the derailleur almost hops over. Think you've gone 1 too far and hit back? It's as if you wanted 4 shifts, but now tell it only needs 3, and it only hops 3 over. The simple fact is, the rear derailleur operates in a new league of derailleurs. Mechanical has always been very precise for me, but there's always been just a slight hesitation as the cable slack changes. With the electronic, there is none of that anymore, and it is like it's directly hardwired into the lever, and sure enough, it is. The electronic communications go through the unit incredibly fast. It knows where the front derailleur is, where you are on the cassette, and makes the best possible shift you can have. When you program the unit, you tell it where the center of the range is. One down from the top, one up from the bottom. And it attempts to shift through that entire range on the cassette as quickly as possible, leaving the last two for a marginally slower shift to reduce the chances that you go off the top into your wheel or off the bottom. Of course, despite my best efforts to mess up the front, I've never been able to get the rear derailleur to mess up either. And I've jammed on the buttons in all types of different scenarios. And sure enough, despite my efforts, it just cleanly, crisply, and effectively shifts to exactly where I wanted it. If it can be said there's standard super record components, it would be the components not requiring update for the electric group. That's the cassette and chain, which work together to provide a very quiet drivetrain. I almost never hear the chain, only a small amount between shifts, so I can hear my tires, my heart racing, and the wind. Never the whirling noise of a chain. You have their skeleton brakes, which provide a very lightweight caliper. And then you have their carbon crankset, available in a standard or compact like I have here. And it features their Cult ceramic bearings, and I'm a believer in all things ceramic. A recent study I read suggested you could save up to 4.5 watts by running high-quality ceramic bearings, and while I don't race, I do need all the help I can get. In the titanium configuration like I have here, there's a titanium spindle in the crank to shave a few extra grams off the crankset. The cranks end up being very responsive, and with the outboard bearings, provide a very positive, direct connection when I stand out of the saddle and hammer on the pedals. The EPS group features the same skeleton brakes we've seen out for a few years now. Campy went to great efforts redesigning the caliper to shave weight while retaining great performance feel and stopping power. And while they believe they've achieved that, I feel that the weight savings come at a marginal cost to brake feel. While I couldn't tell you that stopping distance has increased, I can tell you that the experience I have in the lever doesn't inspire as much confidence as I seem to remember my old Campy calipers. And while they've made improvements on the rubber pad itself, I find changing to a Swiss stop brake pad marginally resolves the compound issue, but significantly changes the feel or confidence that the brakes have. Admittedly, I'm a Campy fan. I love just about everything they've made, except for that mountain bike group set that never really got any traction. But they've done two things with this group that I think could have been improved. First, we have the decidedly un-Campy, boring battery pack. It's a big black blob. It's not sophisticated, doesn't have any significant design characteristics, and it's certainly not elegant. It sits there underneath my water bottle saying blah, big black battery. While it doesn't block anything, it certainly does take my eye away from this crank or the frame, and I see this big battery pack. Next, we have the sound of the front derailleur. It sounds like an old film camera with automatic battery-powered film advancement. Every shift, up or down, and the micro adjustments it makes during the drivetrain auto-adjust trim feature sound like a film camera. For me, it's a novelty and I quite enjoy it, but I do turn a lot of heads on group rides with every shift. They take a look. When they figure out I'm riding the EPS group, they go back to their normal business, but otherwise they're looking around to see who's that guy with the film camera. For me, it was a no-brainer. When I heard the EPS group was going to be available, I started saving, and pretty much I was set on buying it before I even saw it. But you do have yourself a really interesting question. At more than twice the price of the standard Super Record group, why do you buy the electronic version? After spending a lot of miles on this group set, what I can tell you is this is the equivalent of a Formula One drivetrain on a bike. If you're familiar with a manual gearbox to an automatic, this is like taking that precision, performance-oriented shifting mentality from a Formula One car where shifts have to be made in milliseconds, not seconds, onto your bike. And that's why you get it. Every shift is perfect, precise, and fast, and it's all done with campy elegance. Of course, if you compare it to the soon-to-be-released Dura-Ace Di2 90-70 group set, it'll be 51 grams heavier. But keep in mind, Campy has already launched this group set with the ability to run the full gamut on the rear cassette simply by holding down the shift lever button, and that's going to be a new feature for Shimano. As a Campy fan, I think the wait was worth it. Everything about this group I like, except for the brakes, but even on the Super Record group set, I'd have the same problem. And as brakes go, they're still very good. I'm Rob with We Keep You Cycling, and this is my long-term review of the Campy Super Record Thai EPS group set. If you have any questions about this group set, or any of the group sets we carry, drop us a line or email us info@wekeepyoucycling.com.